Hey gang, Emersil here. As you can see, we've got an all tier 10 match here, and I have loaded south of the Alpha Cap. Harugumo is still a very new ship for me, and I do not have many games in it. I just posted up a game a little bit ago that I did next to nothing, and other than help secure a cap and kind of hold that area and try and spot torpedo attacks. Which is important, and that's the reason I posted that game, even though I think I only had like 18,000 some odd damage. I was able to contribute in some other ways that, although not flashy or, I never felt like a hero playing the game, it does serve to illustrate that sometimes it's not about that. Sometimes it's about making sure you don't give the cap to the other team and trying to help your team avoid being struck by torpedoes. So anyhow, particularly in that game, because the enemy DD that I'm talking about was a Yu Yang, and the detection range on those is really, really small. So anything you can do to help your team to detect the Pan-Asian destroyer torpedoes early is a really good thing. Even though I didn't get to do much of that in that game, I was positioned in order to do that. So in this game, let's get to this game, Amersil. Okay, let's do that. I opted to push the cap, as you can see, despite the fact that there are numerous U.S. cruiser radar boats. And I do have some assistance. I got a gearing kind of right behind me. I got a Stalingrad not too far away. Minotaur is pushing up on the other side, and Montana, although he's moving somewhat center, he will be in a position to help as well. Now, why am I sitting at the angle that I'm sitting? Well, because anybody directly north of me isn't going to be able to hit me with torpedoes, and I want to be able to outrun torpedoes should they come from the area where I'm looking right now, or more or less in line with that gross Kurfürst. Puerto Rico, definitely got to keep an eye on that, and I'm hoping that one of the bigger ships will smack him real hard and make him turn away, which is why I pinged him. And yeah, that's a pretty good shot. That did some damage. And I'm guessing he's probably going to turn around and head back the other way, which is going to allow me some room to be able to push up here. So I'm going to go ahead and do that in anticipation of his opting to turn around and just get the heck out of there. Now, there's a gearing behind me, and he's kind of got that angle covered should I spot someone between the islands at Delta 4 and Foxtrot 4. So I'm going to just swing around this island and push toward those battleships. Now, I may not ever land a torpedo on them, but it'll put me in a position to be able to help out should an enemy destroyer Shimakaze Havaraf gearing, which we can see where their gearing is, so he's not going to be really a big worry in this area. But it allows me to cover this, because there's a Mino behind me, and a Stalingrad off on my starboard side. So I'm just down here, checking to make sure we don't get a DD that pushes up in here and causes problems. Now you saw that I threw some torps out there. No idea what, if anything, is going to hit. I'm really just trying to dissuade those battleships from heading for the cap, because I'm leaving that area, and that's going to leave a Mino and a Stalingrad against whatever, in terms of those two battleships, decides to head for the cap, and the enemy Puerto Rico that was up there. Now, he's avoided the first strike, and the second set of torps was aimed behind him. So, yeah, okay, probably not going to land anything. But what did happen? Well, we got one Kurfürst that turned away. So I consider that well worth having thrown those torpedoes out there. So right now, there's one Kurfürst heading in against Minotaur, Stalingrad, and we have a Montana that is basically in our spawn, but who can get broadside shots on that Kurfürst? So I feel pretty confident that I can help the gearing. So I'm going to go ahead and push up here. And the torpedo reload on this ship is painfully slow, as you can see. So I'm going to be making use of the guns for the foreseeable future here. And getting up here to help our gearing seems the best use of those guns. So that's why I'm headed this way. Now I know there's a Des Moines right there. And what I want to avoid is putting myself in a position where he's sitting there and can radar me. So that's why I've stopped where I have. And he's moving out of the way, trying to avoid the torps, but gearing lands one torp on him, and we got the enemy gearing behind the island. So knowing that their Des Moines has pushed behind that island again, I'm gonna go ahead and move in here. And you can see that the Des Moines is reversing. That's what the little red dot is, in case you are not using the mod station. And if you're not, you really should be. It's such a great tool and has so many nice things in it. Anyway, our gearing, he's just kind of hanging at the edge of the cap. I think he actually leaves the cap, which leaves me the only one in it. But what I'm counting on here is, at least for a short time, the enemy team thinking that the gearing is still there in the cap, and not worrying about the possibility that I might be sitting right here where I'm sitting. But that changes everything. You see the little radar icon there. So I have to decide, do I stay or do I go? And I decide I'm going to stay, because Des Moines is not really in a good position to be able to get guns on me. And that leaves just the enemy gearing. And now our gearing is back in the cap, so anything I can do to help get this cap secured is a good thing. Now those torps are preemptive. And the reason I threw them there is if the enemy Des Moines decides to accelerate forward, those torps might be there to greet him. And if the enemy gearing is positioning that side, he might run into one of them. And now I'm just angling up to be able to avoid torpedoes from my last known position of the enemy gearing. I'm also noticing that the Kurfürst is over there, still causing our team problems. Our Minotaur is, at least for now, currently safe behind the island. Our Stalingrad is probably taking a lot of heat. And our Montana is still in our spawn when he's able to get guns on Kurfürst, or was. So I'm going to take this chance to try to get some fires on this Kurfürst, while being angled against the potential threat of gearing torpedoes. And I was really hoping that my teammates would keep them spotted, but they didn't. And now I'm detected, and I'm guessing Des Moines has reversed. But I'm going to go ahead and try and run behind this island, even though I know I'm going to take some shots here. Still detected, still detected. That means the Shima is also detected. And Des Moines pushing in. He's trying to keep us detected as long as he can, and he's still got, well, a good amount of time. So I'm going to go ahead and get the guns working and hope that either my torps or the Shimikaze's torps, which I imagine are going to be coming here any second, yeah, they're there, we'll finish them off. We've got 4 DDs all here in this one little area. Meanwhile, our Minotaur is facing off with an enemy Shimikaze. And the enemy team has managed to secure the Alpha Cap. Now, we traded Minotaur for Shimikaze, but we did lose the Alpha Cap. Now our gearing is pushing back into that cap, and I'm kind of inclined to go help him. In the meantime, I'm going to try and rain a few shells on the Minotaur here, the enemy Minotaur, to dissuade him from pushing into our cap. First volley, decent damage. Second volley, not a whole heck of a lot of anything. Now, I'm not too worried about the Bravo cap right now, because we've got Stalingrad and Yamato right there and another Minotaur. The enemy team's probably not going to want to push in there. What I want to do is I want to try and help secure this cap as quickly as possible so we can maintain our points lead. And you can see now that we're down 3 ships, they're down 5. We're in pretty good shape. And So we're talking about the Montana in chat. We're talking about the Montana that's there at Gulf 2. And he really hasn't really done anything. He was in position to get broadside on that clipper, so I don't know whether he put shots on him or not. But, you know, I'm kind of busy, but I did manage to type that. It's almost like that guy, either he's a bot or he still thinks maybe there's an enemy destroyer over there. I don't know. But I think if I remember right, somebody else on the team who had a little bit more time was going and looking up their stats, which is not nice. It's not nice to shame anybody, but when there's something that obvious, I guess I can't help but think maybe it's justified, at least a little. Now this Shima, just not really paying any attention at all. To fire, not to fire. I'm going to hold my fire. Now, really, we're just mopping up at this point. Is it possible we could lose? Sure, yeah, it's possible. Is it likely? No. We've got 2 caps. I think we're positioned fairly well, other than our Montana. Positioned fairly well. Their Kurfürst and Montana are just, you know, they're just kind of out of the fight, really. You know, maybe there's good reason for that. Maybe the torpedo threat from our destroyers was just more than they could handle. But okay, so I'm going to go ahead and put shells on the Chaba. He's just kind of sitting there broadside. And it pays off. Yeah, I'm going to take some shots, almost certainly, because I'm detected now. But that's alright. I'm feeling pretty good about where this game is right now. Now you can see I haven't really done a whole lot of damage. What I have done is help secure a couple caps and secure one myself. And that's good for the team. I mean, you look at the scoreboard. And yeah, we're up by 2 ships. But if we didn't have any caps, this points spread would be very different. Now he's got 10,000 hit points, and you know I'm radared. But given the situation as far as, you know, how many ships we have, how many they have, and the fact that his guns weren't even pointed this way, I'm going to go ahead and open up on it. Yeah, you can see I'm taking some fire. But I'm not too worried about it. And he is kind of melting. And that's going to be it for him. Now there's the Smolensk. Now I know this is going to go badly for me, but I figure, hey, you know what? He's going to get me in 2 volleys, maybe 3. If I can manage to get off both sets of torpedoes here, I think I can aim them in such a way that he won't be able to avoid them all. So, you know, it was just a calculated risk, and I went ahead and threw them out there. Now I'm going to race over here and see whether or not I was right about that, or whether he's going to escape. And it turns out that I was right. Just barely. Just barely. But did manage to get him. So, yeah, not a whole lot of damage in this game for me. And I'm, you know, really still kind of getting used to Harugumo. It's not as nimble as the Kitakaze, so I really don't like the way it handles. It's similar in feel to me to the difference between the Fletcher and the Gearing. You go from Fletcher, which is really nimble and accelerates quickly and handles really well, to the Gearing, which feels a little bit more like a cruiser. That's kind of the same sort of feel in terms of difference between the Kitakaze and the Harugumo to me. So at this point, we're just mopping up. I'm just going to, you know, kind of watch what's going on here. But if you don't have the Harugumo, this gives you some idea of what it can do. I'm sure you were looking at the minimap and saw that it has decent detection range, but not great. If you get yourself in a bad position, it can be really hard to get yourself out of the position. This Gearing is taking some flack from his teammates because he was going to try and YOLO in and get our Yamato and instead he ground on this island here to the left. So people were kind of making fun. This was a game. This day that I played this game, there were so many, and I'm not a great player, and I have many potato moments. But this game, there were some people that were kind of a little frustrated, I guess, because man, there was a whole lot of it that day. Anyway, that's going to do it for me for this game. I hope that you found this helpful or in some way instructive. I really appreciate you watching. I'm going to go ahead and say goodbye now and let this just kind of wind down, and I will see you next time.